Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to How Do We Get Here, where we're trying to help you to make your life better than what it is currently. Now, today, I don't have just one, I have two very, very smart ladies who's in the mental health field. And today, we're going to talk about mental health for men, because June, if you don't know, it's Mental Health Month for men. So, and men got a lot of issues out here. So, these two young ladies are going to help problem and solve problems. We'll see what we can do today. So as you can see, there's on this side, there's Miss Della. Everybody know Miss Della. That's Miss Della. And on this side is a newcomer. I'm going to call her Miss Q. Miss Q, tell the people about yourself.
Well, my name is Qasia Peterson. I'm a licensed master social worker, mental health therapist. Pretty much, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I can't be left with, I need questions. I can't be left out to just talk.
Well, Miss Q, we're going to ask a lot of questions. Well, a few questions today. So we can get your opinion on what's going on in men's health. Like we were talking before the podcast, I got a couple of disturbing emails about men who have some issues. And it was kind of like saying, you're going to talk about this, you're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the major stuff. But this is going to be an ongoing conversation. But we're going to start the day with kind of like my biggest thing. I'm going to ask both of y'all. Why do you think men are having so many issues mentally and emotionally in today's world? Now, we always know they had it before, but now it's so obvious because we have the internet, we have everything else. It's just guys just seem to be all over the place. They got beta men, alpha men, sigma men, men, boy men, men. So I think that's why it's so much confused, because men don't really know where men should be. It used to be pretty straightforward. Now, based on how it used to be, men knew what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to handle themselves. Women had their particular place. But as we both, and all three of us know, those days have changed. So men are now trying to find their place, and it's caused them stress, so they don't know what to do. So now they act out. Ladies, what's going on?
I will say, yes, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And I do feel like men are becoming more open to individual counseling services, and even family counseling services, and maybe recognizing that that help is needed to navigate certain situations, whether it be our family, whether it be the relationship that we're currently in, the kids that we have. And so I'm excited to see more and more men become open to having the conversation surrounding therapy. I think that sometimes we're holding ourselves, men and women, but we're holding ourselves to these standards or these expectations that society has set, or our culture has set. Our religion may have also set as what a man should be or what a woman's place is. And I'm excited that we're beginning to navigate those conversations and help those communities heal, because you are a person first, right? I am Della first. And so I think that we're seeing an increase in the recognition that men need mental health support too. And so I'm excited to continue to have these conversations.
I agree. I was thinking that I feel that it seems more prevalent now because they have social media. And so for so long they were taught to kind of like bottle up these emotions, and now it's a little more expressive. Through their podcast, through just the comment section, right? I feel like they have an outlet now to express how they truly been feeling probably the whole time, right? Probably always been feeling neglected, or like their needs are put on the back burner. Even when it comes to marriage, it's always like the woman, you put your woman first, you kind of sacrifice everything for your wife and your children. And so I see a lot of young men now saying, oh no, we're not doing that anymore. We're not going to sit here and make sure everybody else is good before we're good. And then, so I guess it's like an uprising in a way. I think that they're more comfortable now expressing themselves.
And I agree with you, because I know growing up, of course, I'm a little older than you guys are. So I used to see the men who work their butts off and work hard all the time and come home, and they would drink. to them that was their relaxation. It's like, and I remember talking to my grandfather many times. He said, "Boy, this what I relax. So I work hard, take care of everybody every day. I need a little relaxation." So he'll have a little beer or a little something. So you saw older men back then do that. It's like now they never talk about feelings. Let me get that straight. I don't care what you're going through. Them men be sitting there, and you can look in their face. You can tell that they wanted to talk about it. But it was such a stigma about talking about your emotions as a man, especially to other men. Oh no! But they'll sit around, and they'll drink a whole fifth, just talking about work and talking about certain things, and then as a youth growing up is looking at it, they say, "Oh, I guess that's how you handle your feelings." But that was always not natural. It was like, shouldn't you talk about it? I remember asking, of course, being a young one, oh no, you're supposed to suck it up. Men are supposed to suffer. I remember one of my uncles said, men are supposed to suffer. And I said, why? He said, well, that's what you make a mess of man. You ain't supposed to talk about your feelings or how hurt you are. I can't tell you how many times I went to work, sick as a dog and in pain and all this stuff. And I'm like, to me as a youth, that doesn't sound right. If I don't feel well, I need to tell somebody. Oh, no, you can't do that. Well, you speed ahead, all those men eventually died, but they died early because of things they never dealt with, they never went to the doctor, so they either had cirrhosis of the liver, heart attacks, strokes, those type of things. And they should have lived longer, but because of the way society justified manhood, they had to suck it up. So I said, oh no, I can't do that. And again, when you're growing up, you kind of take that on yourself, but then you start realizing the effect it has on your health. And then you're like, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna have to go somewhere and do something because I don't want to check out early or have any ailments that's gonna take me out because I gotta keep my feelings within, which is eating me up. And it manifests itself in different ways, which of course I was researching some stuff, and some of the issues that men have today is amazing. The first one is depression. Not surprising. They were saying like over 6 million men suffer from depression. And I said, yeah, that's understandable because again, if you can't handle your feelings, you get within yourself, you start rattling your own head. What are you gonna do? You're gonna get depressed. So again, that's not surprising. The second thing I saw was anxiety disorders. Not surprising again. Again, if you're stressed about work, you're stressed about taking care of the family, you're stressed about everything else is going on, yeah, your anxiety is going to go up. That's just the way it is. Of course, the third one, which we kind of talked about earlier, was suicidal tendencies men have. And like I said, a large percentage of men commit suicide. And that to me is an extreme. I mean, if you get to that point where you have to unlive yourself to get out of a situation, there's a lot between my problems and unliving myself. So it's like, and men obviously can't handle that because it's over 75% of them do that, and then you have substance abuse. Obviously, I just told you, alcohol, drugs, that kind of stuff, and all because they're trying to manage, but they try to manage themselves. It's like, you don't know how to get your own way, but yeah, you're trying to manage how to get your own way. So, I'm just like, this is sad. It's pretty sobering things, but not surprising at all. So that's why with you ladies, I'm like, where do we start? And men, I'm trying to help you. So I'm trying to help you because again, you need help. All y'all need help. You can sit there and talk about I don't need this. Yes, you do. You need help. You need to talk to these women and get your lives in order and live a happier life because everybody needs to be happy. Everybody, men and women. But in this particular case, we're talking about men. So, ladies.
I will say that I think that what we're doing here is normalizing the conversations surrounding mental health and how important that is. Normalizing going to individual counseling services, normalizing marriage counseling, normalizing family therapy for men. It's okay to feel your feelings, but also I think some of our foundation needs to be with identifying what we're even feeling to begin with and putting words to that. So when we talk about anxiety, anxiety looks like and feels like something different for everyone. And so for that person that is anxious, or that man that is anxious, they may not recognize that their anxiety manifests in high blood pressure. And so that racing heart pattern and it being repeated over and over, now you have high blood pressure, you're going to a cardiologist instead of a therapist, or in combination with a therapist, to really, how do we reduce our stress? Because you're thinking, let me work, 12, 15-hour days, put food on the table, not realizing that some of that is causing you to have a decline in your physical well-being, right? Or when we talk about our eating patterns, for some individuals, anxiety shows up as an eating pattern issue where you're feeling anxious. And so now I'm going to eat more sweets. I'm going to look for something because it gives us this dopamine hit in our brain, subconscious always, right? It gives us this hit in our brain. And then we're overeating, and that may manifest in obesity, and that may manifest in high blood pressure, diabetes. And so I say all that, I'm circling back to say all that. Oftentimes, unexpressed emotion manifests in physical health concerns. And because we don't know how to identify our emotions, put a name to our emotions, and then be able to effectively express our emotions, we don't know that we're struggling from anxiety or depression anyway. This is just a normal day to us. We're not monitoring our thoughts because this is just normal. Men are supposed to do this. And so then it brings me to cognitive behavioral therapy and rational emotive behavioral therapy with the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Men should do this. Men have to do this. Like your uncle kind of planted a seed in you a long time ago that men are supposed to suffer. Well, who said that? Like, why? Where did he learn that lesson? And then kind of how does that manifest throughout the generations within your household, but everyone's household too, these shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and how we're supposed to behave, how we're supposed to respond, how we're supposed to react, really kind of taking that apart and finding healing and joy so that we can see a reduction in physical ailments like cancer, high blood pressure, diabetes, heart attack, stroke. And I think that men, the more we begin to push the conversation and open the conversation, I think that we'll see that the clinician in me, it feels like we will see an improvement in men's physical health as they improve their emotional health.
Yes. That's a very true statement, because there's a lot of guys who I know who they can't verbalize what they're going through because they were never taught.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually new, to men, because again, as we said before, men aren't used to talking about their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to accept whatever's happening, move on, adjust to it, whatever. You'll work it out. You'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. And it worked to whatever extent it was supposed to work, but in the end, the men overall suffered. Mm-hmm. They suffered physically, mentally, emotionally, and they suffered in silence. Because again, you couldn't go to anyone to really talk about it, because that wasn't something that you would do as a man. You're supposed to suck it up, man up. Mm-hmm. But as you just said, all the ailments and things that happen by keeping it close to you and keeping it in your heart, and you actually manifest yourself in different ways, because even if you don't talk about it, your actions, the things you do, shows like, why are you doing this? Because you have to react somehow. You are human. You're not a robot. So you have to react in some ways, and a lot of ways it's more destructive than it is, helpful.
I think you said it perfectly. It is certainly more destructive. It can be certainly more destructive. And you don't even recognize it yourself. That's why human behavior is so fascinating, and why I'm in the field to begin with, because oftentimes you don't see yourself. The hardest person to see is ourselves. And our behaviors are a reflection, at least there's theories there that our behaviors are a reflection of our internal thought processes. And if internally we're thinking negatively, or we have a certain thought pattern, we need to challenge that to help us heal and find the happiness and joy in our lives. And I don't think that men have had enough opportunity to really learn the skills to identify the emotions, develop emotional intelligence, develop effective coping skills, to manage those feelings, these new feelings, these icky feelings. No one likes to feel the feels, but so that we can express them and again help each other heal and create safe places for each other. Create safe places for men, create safe places for women, create safe places for any individual that really is going through a tough time. And that's why I'm excited to continue to, again, push the conversation to normalize seeking help and going to therapy and getting the interventions that we need. Because we may do things in a really unhealthy way. Like you said, substance use is a coping mechanism for a lot of things for individuals, for emotions that have gone unexpressed or experiences that have gone unshared. We don't know what that person's journey in life is because we haven't maybe created the opportunity for them to fully express, share, and then heal as well. And that healing is a journey. I cannot express that enough. Healing is a journey. Just because we talked about it today, all right, I told you what happened to me and I am healed. That's just not the way it works. And so, yeah, that's my comment.
So I was thinking about this meme I saw that it said, can we stop raising awareness? I've become too aware, And so when I saw that, it kind of cracked me up because I was just thinking like, yeah, we do have, I think it is this awakening that we have that pain, but at the same time, it's nothing that we're not moving forward with that, right? So it's no action behind it other than, yeah, we're going to make you aware of mental health, but how are we following through with that? Like how are we kind of, I guess not advertising, but how are we getting men to buy into therapy and participate? We don't have really many male providers. It's always a lot of the businesses that I've been worked for are dominated by females. I'm thinking even about the podcast. I think that they're kind of could be support groups in a way, right? These men, they sit around these round tables. They talk about how they feel about all these different topics. And they're using those spaces kind of to be able to relate to each other, to say, oh, you feel that way. I feel that way too. I can relate in a way. And so it just takes me back to that because even in those moments where they're kind of sharing how they deeply feel about whatever, the world is kind of looking at them like these people are crazy. Like, they done lost their minds. But I feel like it's like a podcast epidemic because they're actually using them as a way of support and being able to express themselves and, being able to find other males who relate to them in that way. So I think that should be a little more, I think it's a negative stigma on that right now, those podcasts, right? Everybody hates the podcast guys, but they are literally just expressing themselves, right? It could be a lot for me, especially as a Black woman, right? Like seeing them and then, hearing some of the things that they think about us. But that's how they feel. That's their feelings and it's valid. But then they have the whole world telling them that their feelings don't make any sense, that they sound stupid, especially Black women on there. These are people that they are seeking approval from that are coming on there basically telling them that y'all are dumb, And so that's going to make it so they're going to be less likely to want to express themselves, right? Or to even open up because they feel like, dang, there's something wrong with how I really feel. And they don't really get a chance to even work through those feelings, right? Or understand what's wrong with what they're saying because they go straight into like a defense on how they feel, right? Mm-hmm. So now I got to defend my feelings and everything, just because you calling me dumb. I got to show you I'm not dumb now, or whatever. So I think safe spaces for men to be able to share how they feel without other people being offended. When Black men kind of express why they kind of gravitate towards white women versus dating Black women, right? And we see that as, if you don't want us, you don't want us, goodbye, all this, but instead of really listening to what are they saying, right? Are they saying that every time I try to talk to you, you're not listening, you shut me down, you only look at me like, oh, how can I provide for you? So some of the things that they're saying is valid, but it gets kind of like dismissed. So I think, being a little more open to the men and letting them express themselves, even if we feel like it doesn't make any sense at that time, but letting them be able to get it out and teaching them in a better way. Not a better way, but teaching them better a little bit and being a little more graceful when it comes to them. I think that's important, but also bringing them to therapy, making it a safe space, making it more familiar, right? Like I want to see males. I want to, talk to a man. Even me when I did therapy, I felt like when I did have males, because I worked in a substance abuse facility, which is predominantly males. Um, so I did therapy with a lot of males, but I felt like when they come in and they see a woman, they kind of got to put on a facade now. Like, like, oh, I'm not really that bothered. I'm not really that stressed. And, they kind of are not as open or expressive because it can be intimidating. I feel like I'm being judged. I might, look at her a certain way or whatever. But, so the males kind of, some of them would just shut down. They're not going to be sharing. They're going to, they act like everything good. I'm good. I'm fine. They're going to try to play cool because it's a woman. But maybe if there's a male there, kind of like, validating their feelings, letting them know, it's okay to open up, it's okay to express yourself. And it's another man that looks like me there, then I might be a little more willing to say, you know what, if he's saying it's okay, then it's okay. Let me open.
Hey, and Miss Q, you're absolutely right. And I always tell guys this fact. When you go to a doctor, do you ask, is it a male or female? No, it's a doctor. Because I'm not gonna say, well, he would know more than she would. No, they both went to medical training. They both went and did everything they had to do to become a doctor. So they're a professional. You're not trying to date her. You're not trying to holler at her. You came there to solve a problem. So a lot of men need to get out their head that it's like I'm talking to her, and if you're cute, then you're like, maybe I can holler. No, you're
Mm-hmm.
there to solve your problem. You're not there to pick up a date, not there to holler at her, take her to lunch after that. No, she is your doctor. She is there to solve your problem. And if you can't figure out that she's there to do that, then you probably need to sit back and say, okay, what are my reasons for doing here? You're not at that point yet. To me, it's almost like you haven't hit rock bottom yet because you're still looking at her and scared to tell her anything. What are you doing? You're not trying to get better. Here's where you lay it out. You don't go to your doctor and say, you know what, I do have this pain here, but I'm not gonna mention it to him. I'm gonna tell him I have a little pain here. Well, if you tell the doctor that, what they're gonna do, they're gonna give you information that's gonna affect this pain that you gave them, which is really not a pain. But this pain doesn't get noticed, and this pain is the one that's gonna kill you because you didn't want to tell them what was really going on. So, men, please, when you go to the professional, first of all, they're not trying to date you. Don't look at them as you're trying to holler at them. You're trying to go somewhere with them. No, they're there to help you get better. They are the doctors. They're therapists, they're doctors. They're trying to help you. So get that mindset, get out that mindset. You're there to get help and get help, there to get healthy. So that's what they're there for. So and like you said, the other thing a lot of guys don't understand is this issue that we have with women, and they don't understand my feelings and all this. This is a new thing because back in the day, if you think about it, even with your grandmamas and mothers, they really never expressed their feelings per se. They pretty much kind of went through what they had to do to take care of the family. The men worked, the women. So there's really no really I want to say communication, but no real angst because they're working as a team, as you said, Miss Della, to take care of the family. Along the way, that got distorted with the man making a lot of money and the women don't want to, women shouldn't say anything, which was never the case. So I've seen that huge divide happen where I've never heard black men and black women arguing about, I don't trust her, I don't trust him, she got to do this, he got to bring this to the table. I never heard it until recently. Now money comes in, and now, I got to pick this type of woman, or she can't do this. First of all, you're supposed to be building a team. It's not competition. If it's a competition, I understand that. If you're in your house and you're battling for the house, understand that. But if you're in the same house, you're trying to build that house, you're trying to build your empire, you have to work as a team. And I see all these podcasts talking about, the top high value man and the women who make too much and she trying to boss me up and she trying to wear the pants and all that. You got it all wrong. You got to sit back and understand, where are you? Where are you at? Truly, where you at? And it's okay. Here's where I'm at, and I need to find a woman who could be my yin to my yang. Everybody wants to be everything. And then we know in this today's world, you can be the man, make a lot of money, but just like that, your money gone. So does that mean you're nothing now since you have no money? And now she's making the money, then she's the boss. If that's the kind of relationship y'all got, you have the relationship, which means men need to stand up and say, listen, what do I truly need? And what I need, and you need to find what she needs. So still battling each other like you don't need each other. We do need each other, but we have to need each other in a healthy space, not in this unhealthy, this power dynamic, power and control. It's none of that. If you're trying to marry someone or date someone, you should both want to be 100% both. Like I said, that 50-50 doesn't work. It's 100. She may have 22%. I have 98%. She may have a 98% one day, and I have 2%. But that's how we operate. That's how we take care of stuff. But you're hearing so many men on extremes. We're hearing more from the 5% on both ends than the actually 90% that are really living that true life. So they're starting to look at that and say, no, that's not reality. That's extremism. You have to work together in order to be successful. And you have to work together and for both y'all to be happy. And we've had these conversations with each other. I heard guys, and the guy sent me an email, which is wild. He said, I can't talk about we've been married for 15 years. I can't tell her what's on my heart because she uses it against me. Like somehow we get in an argument and she uses what I say against me. Now I don't trust her. What should I do? I should need therapy. Because again, if you can't trust the woman you've been married to for 15 years and got 3 kids, and you don't want to tell what's going on with you, y'all need therapy. That's if you want to stay together. And you've been there together for 15 years. You got to see if their love is still there, if you still have a connection there, but you need to start with therapy. You need to go and figure out what's going on. But that's a lot of the questions I get from men, which is odd because it's like, and these are not like 20-some-year-old men. These are 40 and 50-year-old men that I'm getting this information from. And I get 20 and 30s too, but there's a little different. But it just tells me men just are not comfortable with themselves in order to open themselves up to a woman. And then it has to be the right woman. Because if it's the wrong woman and she comes back as a man, say use it against them, then you're shutting all the doors. You're locking everything.
I think that this conversation could go on for a really long time.
Yes.
There are certainly differences in generational patterns in relationships. I think that couples counseling really teaches 2 individuals to identify who they are as people before the relationship, and being able to maintain their sense of identity, but then also communication patterns. One of my go-to kind of methods when teaching someone how to communicate is I statements. I feel, and really identifying what the emotion is. Now, I feel you did me wrong. That doesn't tell me how you actually felt, right? I felt disrespected. I feel sad. I feel lonely. I feel overwhelmed. Those are emotions, right? So I feel blank. What did that person very specifically do? Next time, could you, because it's going to come up again. We're all human, we're flawed, but identify the specific emotion so that person can identify with how they made you feel. Or, but then also don't hold people accountable or responsible for how you feel, right? Because that may not have been that person's intention to make you feel overwhelmed, disrespected, anxious, unhappy, things along those lines. That may not have been the intention of their emotion, but then also allowing them to feel a feeling too. Just because you express your feeling doesn't mean I don't then have a feeling too. And if we're working together as a unit, we're both honoring our feelings and what came up, and then honoring what we can do differently to compromise and work together for the betterment of that relationship. Oftentimes we hold people accountable for making us feel a particular way. You triggered me. You did this to me. You. When no one can make you feel anything. Your feelings are a response to how you internalize that action. And same way, dark humor, something could make me laugh hysterically, where it could trigger a grief in someone else. And so understanding that we're individuals and how we interpret the world, but certainly also to the original method to begin having those conversations is, I feel, identifying your emotion, identifying your response, and then communicating that to that person with boundaries. Hey, I felt upset when you didn't come home on time. Next time, can you send me a text message so I won't be as worried and stay up all night, right? And this is a really simple way, just walking through the statement. And then that person can say, hey, I felt I was really focused at work because I'm overwhelmed at work. I have these deadlines and these projects. So next time I'll try to let you know if I'm going to be running late. And so let's compromise. And then that person can begin to have their side of the conversation. Oh, I didn't realize you were overwhelmed at work. Tell me a little bit more about what's going on. How can I support you at home a little bit better? Or how can I have more realistic expectations, more realistic boundaries? Now, however, that could just go all far left, and we don't want to encourage manipulation, but I do want to encourage dialogue. How can we begin to have those I feel and identify our emotions, and so that that person can understand the impact that they're having on the relationship? Sorry, just say that.
Oh, no problem. Like I said, we're just trying to keep it real. We're just trying to deal with real situations and not candy coated. People going through this every day, and they just don't know what to do to get out of this rut. So again, and it's so much stuff out there, and I'm not gonna say garbage, just stuff that you're like, is any of this work? Is this worth looking at? Is it not worth looking at? Worth talking about, doing? But again, there's people that are just talking, and then there's, again, you guys see this. You see it every day. You deal with people every day that have issues, and we all got issues. But at least they're coming to you to say, hey, I got issues, help me. And so, so what do you think, Miss Q?
I think it's important to have someone that you trust, that you can confide in. I guess if they feel like they don't have anyone that they can trust, maybe reaching out to a provider therapy and starting that way, because that's the best thing you could do. The most non-biased person you could talk to would be a therapist or a professional, because they're not judging you of your past or anything like that, with like maybe a family member or someone would do. That would be about it as far as like where to start. Definitely not on social media. I don't think that's a good place, because like you said, it's only representing a small percentage of people and their ideas, and so you start to believe that that's the whole world and how everybody thinks. Especially even when you think about expressing yourself to women, it's like, I assume that all women think like most of these thousands of women in the comments, so I'm kind of going to be a little bit closed off. So I think that's another good place to start, is being able to take some breaks from that and recognizing what's real and what's not. Because I don't think it's as much as a divide as they make it seem sometimes.
Well,
exactly. That is a very true statement, because again, the divide is just causing more heartache and pain than anything. It's one thing, you just have a wild discussion, but when these wild discussions are influencing everyday people's lives and decisions, then that's when you say, enough with the ignorance, and let's go ahead and put some real data out here, and talk to some real professionals. So before I wrap this up, ladies, I'm going to ask a question which is also related to this Men's Health Month. What are you guys personally, outside of being a therapist, as women, what are the issues that you're seeing with men that you think that men should know in order to make themselves better and to make sure that they are approaching women in, I won't say the correct way, but they're not approaching you crazy? I can't put it to words, but because they're looking at all the crazies and they're thinking, well, I don't want to do this for women, I don't want to do that for women. What are the things that are turning you off about men of today, of the men that you have seen today outside the, your clinical, just in general, what are the things that's make you say, I want men to do this better? I need men to understand this.
I think it's important that they understand their intentions and how they feel. Because like you said, you can get caught up in what everyone else is thinking and other people's opinions. And so you might feel something similar to that and you hear someone else say it and then you're like, oh yeah, that's how I feel. I'm not doing this for women or whatever. So you got to really think about what is your intentions for dating this woman. What do you want to get out of this relationship and what are you willing to put into it? So I think that's important to know even before you make that first contact. Not going into it in a defense, like all women are here to use you, all women are here to do this. If you really feel that way inside, then why are you reaching out to women? Why are you trying to contact? So if you really feel this kind of negative way about women, maybe taking some time to work through those feelings and really understand your own emotions and then going out to date. Because it can be confusing. It's confusing because it's like you hate women, but you're also actively pursuing women. So just getting a better understanding of what you want and how you really feel, and what are you willing to give to a relationship to get that.
I like that. Miss Della, what about you? Oh, I see that look on your face like, I got a couple things.
Where do I begin? I am going to second everything QA just said and share that men need to say hello. Start with hello. What's your name? My name is. I think that men, when it comes to dating in general, I think, like QA just said, identify what it is that you want before you start actively going out here and dating, because you may inadvertently hurt more women because you're coming out with your unhealed self. But ultimately, communicate, be a trustworthy person yourself. Be an honest person yourself. Don't expect more from other people than you expect for yourself. So yeah, I think saying hello and then make sure that you are who you expect from others. Oh, and then also handle. See, I told you I had a list. Also, find a healthy way to handle rejection. If you come up to me, say hello, and I say, "Hey, my name is Della. I have a man." Don't come off aggressive because I'm letting you know my boundary, right? Or my relationship status, or hey, no, you know what, this is not working out. I don't want to talk anymore. I don't want to be, in this situationship anymore. Things like that. Find a healthier way to handle when we set our boundaries. And so, yeah.
I love that. I love that because it's real. This is what's really going, gentlemen, men and gentlemen, ladies and men. This was going on in the world today. So the two crazy extremes, the 5% on the other side, don't listen to them. Listen to the 90% that are they're trying to find happiness, true happiness within themselves and with someone else, and, these two ladies here, by the way, I have to say this, ladies, how do the people get in touch with you?
Mm-hmm.
They need your assistance because they need it. Trust me, they need it.
So we are both at August Rose Health Center in Glen Burnie, Maryland. So you can find us on www.augustrosehealthcenter.com or on Instagram at the same handle.
Cool. And guys, ladies, I'm gonna have all this information anyway. You're going to have to get in touch with these ladies. These ladies know, and you need help. So we're here to help you, men. This is just a initial discussion of a larger discussion, but please go and seek help. Don't sit back and suffer in silence. Don't drink yourself to oblivion. Don't take yourself out. Find the assistance. In fact, if you're in Maryland, you can find these two ladies. They'll help you tremendously. You can talk to them about the insurance and all that stuff, but man, get the help. Please get the help, because again, if you're not here, then where are these poor women gonna go? Who are they gonna date if all the men all of a sudden are gone and took themselves out, what they gonna date? They can't date themselves. So please, men, do better. This is I implore you to please take care of yourselves, because it does get better. Because I've heard a lot of people, oh, it'll work itself out. No, it won't. It won't work itself out. And in the end, you won't be here to even see what's going on in a life that you could have. It could be a beautiful life. All you have to do is get the help. And with that, we're going to end this episode of How Did We Get Here? And ladies, Miss Della, always a pleasure. Miss Q, gotta have you back, girl. Gotta have you back. Because
Thanks
again, I got no problem. And like I said, peoples, you know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the little bell so you get the latest podcast. Until then, peace and blessings, and take care of yourself. Men, handle your business. Get healthy.